Gauteng dealer rally, and this is what they will be facing. Dust and cold weather in the mealie fields of the East Rand. The majority of the stages will take place in front of large crowds at the popular Rally Star Motorsport facility near Bupsfontein, while the two-day Toyota Gauteng dealer rally will reach its climax on the tarmac of the Swartkops racing circuit just west of Pretoria. Racing is normally very close on this event, so we expect the same in 2012. With 2 victories from 2 events, Mark Cronje has to be considered the favourite for victory here in Gauteng. So, can he make it 3 out of 3?
Look, the 2 victories have really built up a huge amount of momentum for us, and it's been a great achievement for us. But every rally is a new rally, so from our side we've done the homework. I'm pretty confident we've done enough, but at the end of the day everybody else is working hard, so I'm confident, and let's see what today brings.
Johnny Gemmell has come to within a few seconds of a victory this year. This is also his home rally, and it's a Toyota-sponsored event. But can he catch Cronje this time round?
Yeah, definitely we'll be giving it a go. It was close 3 seconds, like you say, last event, but this one's in where I stay, around my area.
2 consecutive 4th place finishes sees multiple champion Jan Habig and his new Basil Reed Ford lying 3rd in the title chase.
Yeah, I think the first 2 stages of this rally is going to be quite a deciding factor of the outcome of the event, because it's more or less 25% of the rally. No service in between, lots of opportunity for punches, so one's got to be a bit careful.
Hans Weiss is ahead of many top South African drivers on the points table, following his 3rd position a few weeks ago. So, what will his strategy be in Gauteng?
Yeah, it's difficult to say, because now we have not the Iraqi anymore. We did everything with the DVD, and this is a special rally. It's all fast, and you have some junctions you cannot see it quite well, so for me it will be difficult, especially the first runs.
John Williams rolled his Sasol Ford Fiesta on this event less than 12 months ago and will want to avoid doing the same this year.
Obviously last year we were going well up to the accident, so looking forward to the event. We've done a lot of preparation for this rally.
Team Total's Jean-Pierre Damso will want to improve on his 6th position in the title chase, but he also has a number of very fast drivers breathing down his neck.
This rally there will be a lot of guys who will be quick on this rally. So we have to up our game on this rally and hopefully have a good result at the end and improve on the championship points.
Charles Wilkin won a number of regional rally championships on these roads and was victorious here in 2010, something which he would love to repeat.
They're pretty average mealie field roads, and but they can still bite you, but we're going to give it 110% and hopefully we can pull off a win.
Gugu Zulu is currently not only lying in 8th in the title chase, but is also the leading Class S2000 Challenge driver.
Yeah, I'm quite excited about it. It's really been a good start to the season. Looking back at history, we've had really a bad run in the last 2 years, and this year seems to be working out.
Mohamed Musa is also in the top 10, despite rolling his car on round 2.
I think we were fortunate to get away with that one. I don't think, given how quick it was and how violent it was, I think we were very lucky.
And 10th in the title chase is definitely not where former champion Enzo Kuhn wants to be.
Not where I'm used to be. No, I think being 10th is a good reason to change that.
Volkswagen's other former champion Hergen Fecken also has a mountain to climb to get back into contention. And Toyota's Leroy Poulter is experiencing a run of bad luck in 2012. To allow more spectators to enjoy the action, the organisers decided to host the Toyota Gauteng dealer rally on a Saturday and Sunday instead of the usual Friday-Saturday time slot. This proved to be successful as hundreds of rally fans gathered at the McCarthy Toyota Linwood dealership for the ceremonial start of the event. Championship leader Mark Cronje is the first one to head off to tackle stage 1, followed by his arch-rival Johnny Gemmell. Leroy Poulter in the 2nd of the Castrol Toyotas will launch his attack from 3rd on the road, ahead of the BP Volkswagens of Hergen Fecken and Enzo Kuhn. The pair of Basil Reed Fiestas, driven by Charles Wilkin and Jan Habig, will be 6th and 7th, respectively. At nearly 30 kilometres, Stage 1, or M&T as it's called, will be a rude awakening for the drivers. Not only is it long, but the roads are also very rough, with embedded rocks, just waiting to take a bite out of the Dunlop tyres. It's the type of stage that can decide the outcome of the entire event.
Championship leaders Mark Cronje and Robin Houghton are the first ones to break the morning silence in their Sasol Ford Fiesta. Exactly 2 minutes later, Johnny Gemmell and Carolyn Swan set off in their quest to win the Toyota Gauteng dealer rally. It's not far into stage one, and Gemmell passes what looks like the Sasol Ford of Mark Cronje on the side of the road. The championship leader must be in big trouble. Gemmell must have enjoyed the sight of his rival standing on the side of the road, but seconds later, he too ran into trouble. The Castrol Toyota driver knew he had no choice but to stop and change the wheel, losing a lengthy 4 minutes in the process.
Mark was just on the side of the road about a K from the start, and then about 6 Ks after that I had a left front punch. I had to stop and change. So, I don't know, the guys behind us didn't come through, so we just kept going.
Behind Gemmell, Castrol Toyota teammates Leroy Poulter and Alvin Kutsia had every intention to fight for victory on their home event, but they too were about to see the ugly side of Lady Luck. With both Castrol Toyotas hitting trouble early on, it was the worst possible start for sponsors Toyota on their own rally.
We've all had punctures. I had a puncture, Johnny had a puncture, Mark had a puncture. I got no clutch, so yeah, rough terrain, really, really rough.
Ergen Fekken and Pierre Arries made it very clear that this is going to be the event that will turn their bad season around. But rallying is a cruel sport. So far, the score was 4-0 in favor of stage one.
Yeah, there's a very rocky part in the beginning of the stage, but the rocks are in the road, so and we're pushing, so you hit them without being able to avoid them.
With all four drivers ahead of him hitting major trouble, the door was wide open for Enzo Keen and Guy Hodgson to take full advantage of the situation. But unbelievably, the second of the BP Polos became the fifth driver in succession to stop and change a flat wheel, something we've probably never seen before. Charles Wilkin and Greg Godrich were the next ones to venture onto the battlefield of stage one. But the Basil Reed Ford Fiesta also disappeared into the abyss that was stage one. That is 6 out of 6.
The thing's screaming at me. That's good, one. What the is that? Something, I don't know. Right 6 possible, Max. Something's wrong. I know. I don't know. There's a big car in the 400. Right 6, go. Possible cut. Good. I don't know what's wrong. Something's wrong.
Surely the carnage could not continue any longer. With no less than 4 cars still stuck on the side of the road, the end of stage one was a quiet place. But fortunately, this was about to change. Jan Habich and Robert Paisley drove past their fallen rivals one by one and finally merged from stage one to take a massive early rally lead in the Basil Reed Ford Fiesta.
A little bit rough in there, there's rocks that's sticking out in the road, so if you hit them wrong, then you'll definitely get a puncture. So it's a little bit of a tricky stage, as I said at the beginning.
Instead of outright speed, survival became the name of the game. So far, only 3 cars have reached the end, and only one managed to do so without getting a puncture. But John Williams and Kobus Frey were about to make that too.
Yeah, that was absolute chaos. There were just cars all over the show. I mean, it was crazy. That was a tough stage.
Back on the stage, Ergen Fekken and Pierre Arries finally managed to get the spare wheel back onto the BP Polo, but more than 10 minutes were lost. This was the first taste of Gauteng's rally roads for the Dutch and Belgian duo of Hans Weiss and Bjorn de Gant, and the third of the BP Polos. The Dutchman managed to dodge the culprit rocks, but soon had other problems to worry about. He reached the end without losing a wheel, but the Dutchman wasn't happy.
What can I say? When we need to catch 2 cars, one is not passing us. We don't see anything. We went off. Everything because of the dust. This is not a rally. You cannot say that's good. It's all...
With so many cars having trouble and having to change wheels, the end of stage 1 became a busy place with drivers arriving out of sequence. Enzo Keen was the next to reach the end, but also only after losing more than 10 full minutes.
We just had to get out, so we got 2 flat tires. We're going to have to borrow a wheel off teammates now.
Hot on his heels was the Q8 Oils Peugeot of Hein Lategan and Johan van der Merwe. Lategan avoided the rocks, but unhappy faces at the end of stage 1 was now the rule rather than the exception.
No, I mean, half the stage we run behind these oaks. They got flats, they wouldn't pull over, but these oaks, they just stuff up your race.
And finally, another team with a clean run over stage 1. Jean-Pierre Damso and Grant Martin were 23 seconds slower than the fastest time set by Habib, but it was enough to earn them second on the overall standings.
That stage was very tricky. There are rocks everywhere, and just put a wheel wrong there and you can have a puncture.
And after losing a full 12 minutes, Charles Wilken finally arrived at the end of stage.
Yeah, it's the biggest stage I've ever seen.
The door was wide open for Mohamed Musa and Andre Vermeulen in the second of the team total Toyotas. Musa's teammate had already completed stage 1 with the second fastest time, and the Tsenin businessman was hoping to do the same. But he became another victim of stage 1.
Stage 1 of the Toyota Gauteng dealer rally left a trail of destruction that saw the demise of nearly half of the entire field. And still, the drama was far from over. The survivors still had to tackle stage 2 before getting the opportunity to service their cars. Sadly for championship leader Mark Ronier, proceedings will have to continue without him.
In the middle of the corner is a hole, and the guys had covered it up nicely, obviously fixing the roads, but it wasn't compacted. So as we got on the power, they sort of back end stepped out a little bit and dropped into this hole, the sand being so soft, and it broke the wheel straight off. So that was us, game over.
Harrigan Fecken was already out of contention, and his day only got worse.
Yeah, look, it didn't go well, eh? We had that flat wheel we talked about, and lost about 11 minutes, and now the car doesn't want to start at all, so it looks like that's our rally.
Mohamed Musa also had no choice but to throw in the towel.
No, it's absolute chaos. We're out, stage 1. It's on a long straight. There's some rocks sticking out and two punches. We finished the stage, but the rear suspension collapsed, and now we don't have a spare.
The Toyota Gauteng dealer rally was turned on its head right from the word go. Will the carnage continue, or will normality return? Join us after the break. Toyota Gauteng dealer rally, and a number of top drivers have already dropped out of contention or even retired, while the ones still standing have more stages to contend with. At a full 27 kilometers, stage 2 or Tweefontein presents another tough challenge.
With championship leader Mark Ronier removed from the action, Johnny Kemmel and Catalin Swan had an opportunity to close the points gap to their rivals. But after losing 4 minutes in stage 1, the Castrol Toyota was down in 15th position overall. Kemmel knew that he had to make a comeback and set the fastest time of all on stage 2. Castrol Toyota teammates Leroy Polter and Alvin Kutsia were in pretty much the same boat as Kemmel and driving with the added pressure of piloting a factory Toyota on Toyota's event. They too recovered well by setting the third fastest time on Tweefontein. Harrigan Fecken was supposed to be the first of the BP Volkswagens to tackle stage 2, but following his retirement, it was the second polo of Enzo Keen and Guy Hodgson that had to try and make up some of the lost time of stage 1. Keen took it easy and recorded the 9th fastest time, 26 seconds slower than Kemmel. Like Keen, Charles Wilken and Greg Godrich also lost all chance of victory on stage 1. The Basil Reed Ford Fiesta driver was one of the pre-event favourites here in Gauteng, but with a 13-minute deficit, the aim was now to simply try and finish. Their time on stage 2 was 10 seconds slower than Gemmel's winning time and fast enough for 6.
Extreme right, fork extreme right, to left 8, and straight over junction. Yes, yeah, straight over junction. It got to be back left 5 in. Titans don't cut.
Basil Reed, 4 teammates, Jan Habig and Robert Paisley, were one of the few teams that survived the tough stage 1. The 6 times South African champion also had a healthy lead of 23 seconds, and by setting the second quickest time of all on stage 2, Habig increased his overall advantage to more than half a minute. Following Cronje's retirement, John Williams and Cobus Frey were now behind the wheel of the only remaining Sasol Ford Fiesta. And like Habig, Williams was also one of the few survivors of stage 1. The Cape Townian made use of the opportunity and moved into second position overall after stage 2. Dutchman Hans Weiss and Belgian co-driver Bjorn de Gant did not pick up any punctures on stage 1, but still lost loads of time while being stuck in the dust of fellow competitors. Every stage is new to the BP Polo driver, and he did well to set the 5th fastest time. As with Weiss, Hein Latergan and Johan van der Merwe also had some time to make up after dust problems on the previous stage. Latergan and his Q8 Oils Peugeot 207 went 5 seconds quicker than Weiss on stage 2 to climb to 5th on the overall leaderboard. The team total Toyota crew of JP Damso and Grant Martin were in an excellent second position overall after the stage 1 carnage. Damso knew that there was more to lose than to gain and took it easy on stage 2, handing his second position to Williams in the process. Sebastian Klaassen and Cindy Harding started the event from 15th on the road, but the Monster Energy Ford Fiesta driver avoided all the trouble on both stages 1 and 2 to rocket themselves up into 4th position overall. This was by far Klaassen's best performance since moving to the top S2000 class. Gugu Zulu and Carl Peskin are also enjoying their first season behind the wheel of a BP Volkswagen. Their Polo is one of the cars used by the factory teams during 2011, which places Zulu in the new for 2012 Super 2000 Challenge class. Not only was Zulu comfortably leading the Challenge class after stage 2, but he also occupied 7th on the overall leaderboard. Just as remarkable was the performance of Nick van der Westhuizen and Henry Deerlove in the SA Earthworks Ford Fiesta. While a large percentage of the top drivers had fallen by the wayside, van der Westhuizen grabbed the opportunity with both hands to not only lead the Super 1600 class, but to also move into the top 10 on the overall standings.
It's Jan Habig who leads the way with a 36-second advantage over the Ford of John Williams. JP Damso's hot on Williams' heels, while 4th is the highest up Klaassen has ever been. Latergan is in 5th, ahead of Weiss and Zulu, while the Toyotas of Poulter and Gemmel are still in the top 10. Big names like Cronje, Kuhn, Fecken and Wilken are ominously absent from the leaderboard. The remaining crews have now completed stage 2 of the 10-stage Toyota Gauteng dealer rally and have now all earned a well-deserved rest. But back in the service park, their minds were still stuck on the war zone that was stage 1. Hein Latergan is currently in 5th position, but feels he could have been much higher up the leaderboard.
I'm just upset about the first stage where the cars that got punctures didn't pull over. I mean, they lost 10 minutes. 10 minutes, I think you should be a sportsman and just pull over and let the other guys have their race.
Leroy Poulter was the highest placed driver for rally hosts Toyota, but the team of technicians was about to face a tough test.
Yeah, look, we've had a bit of a rough start. Puncture, I think 4 Ks into the first one, and then about halfway through the clutch stopped working. So we need to get the gearbox out and try and fix the problem.
JP Damso has endured his fair share of bad luck in 2012, so he wasn't too unhappy about his current 3rd position.
Losing out on the tight corners, we're not entering and exiting quick enough, so we'll have to change that now in the next stage.
John Williams has shown lots of promise throughout his short rallying career, so 2nd was a good position to be in after 2 tough stages.
Yeah, we'll try. Obviously, it's not going to be easy, but we're in a good position now, and it's still a long way to go, so I'm not really worried about where I am.
just want to get into a good rhythm and set some good stage times.
It's the first time that rally legend Jan Habig has led an event since he climbed behind the wheel of a Ford. A faultless performance so far from the master.
Stage 2 was sort of okay. We weren't quite sure what kind of pace to run because we've got a couple of seconds lead at the moment, so it's a little bit difficult to judge our pace. So we were a little bit up and down.
It's off to stage 3, a 20-kilometre test of driving skill and car control on dusty but smoother gravel roads close to Bapsfontein. A real chance for any of the protagonists to try and stamp his authority on the Toyota Gauteng Dealer Rally.
Johnny Gemmell and Carolyn Swan were behind the wheel of the first car on the road, but they were only 9th on the overall standings and eager to move up the leaderboard. A time of 12 minutes and 15.3 seconds was second fastest on the stage and enough to move up to 8th. The Toyota technicians did a fantastic job of replacing the gearbox inside the Castrol Auris of Leroy Poulter and Alvin Coetzee. But Poulter's time on stage 3 was slow, and something was clearly still not right.
Yeah, we got no drive. We've only got two-wheel drive, so we went off and it's punctured the wheel.
Enzo Keane and Guy Hodgson were now also simply going through the motions, as the former champions and BP Polo driver had no chance to play a role in the outcome of the event.
Nice to finish the stage without having to change the tyre or two. No, good.
The same could be said for the Basil Reed 4 team of Charles Wilkin and Greg Godrich. Wilkin still put in a great performance by setting the fastest time of all on stage 3 to move up 6 positions on the leaderboard.
Past the tree. 60 then. Keep short, possibly max right 3, bank on in his left 3.
Yeah, at least it's down to proper roads again, so now I can drive again.
With a comfortable half-a-minute lead, Jan Habig and Robert Paisley had no need to push or to take any risks. The Basil Reed 4 driver set the 4th fastest time, more than enough to keep his overall lead intact.
We had a bit of a slow start. We just couldn't find the right rhythm. A little bit difficult to judge, not to go flat out and go quick enough.
John Williams and Kobus Frey were Habig's nearest challengers, but the Sassel Ford lost another 2 seconds to Habig on stage 3. The deficit was now a full 38 seconds.
Yeah, we maybe just a bit too keen on that stage, pushing a little bit too hard, but otherwise it was okay, it wasn't too bad.
Hans Weiss is clearly one of the most talented drivers ever to turn a wheel on South African rally roads. The BP Polo driver also has high expectations and set the 3rd fastest time on stage 3. But was it enough to make him happy?
No.
The total Toyota of JP Damso and Grant Martin was just 6 seconds behind second position at the start of stage 3. Damso pushed hard on the stage but lost another 1.2 seconds to his nearest rival Williams. Hein Lategan and Johan van der Merwe had their sights set on 4th place overall. And the 7th fastest time on stage 3 was enough to move the Q8 Oils Peugeot to within just 3.3 seconds of their target. The 4th place in question still belonged to the Cape Town-based Dutchman Sebastian Klaassen and co-driver Cindy Harding. Klaassen only managed the 10th fastest time, but it was still enough to cling on to his 5th position overall. The Namibian duo of Volvo Dippenaar and Morne de Tooy set the 9th fastest time on stage 3, but it didn't do too much to the overall position as they too were victims of stage 1.
Due to unforeseen circumstances, stage 4 had to be cancelled, so the drivers had one last chance to influence the leaderboard on day 1. This is the famous Super Special stage at Rally Star. At just over 4 kilometers in length, it may be a short stage, but it packs a big punch. On a Super Special, the drivers don't only battle the stopwatch, but also one another on basically the same piece of dirt. In a close dice, they should reach the flying finish at the same time.
The first race is a duel between Castrol Toyota teammates in front of a large crowd. Johnny Gemmel and Kellen Swan versus Leroy Poulter and Alvin Kutsia. Both drivers were still aiming to improve on their overall positions, but on a super special, the focus is all on winning the dice. This looks extremely close. In fact, it is too close to call. The electronic timing reveals that the stage victory is shared by both Gemmel and Poulter, who set exactly the same time. Next up, the Basil Reed Ford Fiesta of Charles Wilken and Greg Godrich, and the BP Volkswagen Polo of Enzo Keane and Guy Hodgson. Both Wilken and Keane have won this event before, and although they were both out of the running in 2012, pride was still at stake. It is close again, but Wilken takes the win by 1.5 seconds from Keane. The third duel of the day is between two Fords, but it's also between first placed Jan Habig and Robert Paisley and John Williams and Kobus Frey. A super special like this one is probably too close to have a huge impact on the results, but it's the Sassel Ford of Williams who beats the Basil Reed version of Habig by nearly 3 full seconds. The spectators were now being treated to some great action, with race after race getting closer and closer. In the race between the BP Volkswagen Polo of Hans Weiss and Bjorn de Gant against the Q8 Oils Peugeot 207 of Hein Latergan and Johan van der Merwe, it's the Dutchman who takes the win by less than a single second. JP Damso and Grant Martin were currently in third overall, but they first had to fend off the challenge by Jaapie van Niekerk and Gerard Snyman in the new Africa Developments Volkswagen Polo. Van Niekerk was struggling with a few mechanical problems inside his car all day, so it's Damso who takes a 3-second victory on the Super Special. Sebastian Klaassen and Cindy Harding started the Super Special in an excellent 4th position overall. But the Monster Energy Ford only managed the 12th fastest time on the stage, which dropped them from 4th to 5th on the overall standings. The BP Volkswagen Polo of Gugu Zulu and Carl Peskin was also in a very credible 7th position overall and still leading the S2000 Challenge class quite comfortably. Zulu ended the day in an excellent 7th. The glass-sure Toyota of Werner Koekemoer and former rally winner turned navigator Etienne Lourens was weighed down in the overall standings following punctures early on. But on the Super Special, Koekemoer set the 10th fastest time.
Jan Habig loses a few seconds to second place John Williams, but still has more than half a minute in the bag. Damso maintains his 3rd, while Latergan overtakes Klaassen for 4th. Weiss is still in 6th, ahead of Zulu and the Toyotas of Gemmel and Poulter. Van der Westhuizen rounds off the top 10.